My approach to coaching golf is a holistic approach that includes not only technique, but physical skills, mental skills, and the strategy of playing the game. It's no good being proficient in one of these areas and deficient in the other area. Your game will never be at your full potential. Before we get out on the golf course, let's get started with some physical skills. Let's look at those 10 essential stretches. Pivot rotation is done by putting a club behind your back, placing it through your elbows, and then just turning from side to side, loosen up your back. This starts to get your body ready for the rotation required in the golf swing. Once you've loosened up the back, about 30 seconds, then get yourself in your posture position, turn into your backswing position and hold that for about 10 seconds. Turn through to your follow through position and hold that for about 10 seconds. Repeat this about 3 times on either side, and then you've loosened up the body. Now you're ready to move on to the wrist stretch. The wrist flexion and extension stretch is hold your hand out in front of you, grab the fingers with the opposite hand and just gently pull back on the fingers until you feel the stretch in the underside of the wrist. Then turn the wrist down, grab the back of your hand. Again, hold this for about 10 seconds, repeat it for three times on both sides. The wrists come under incredible load and stress during the golf swing, and they will tighten up as you hit more balls. So this is a stretch that's not only important before golf but during golf to keep those wrists nice and loose to enable you to swing the club freely. Let's have a look at the forearm stretch. Both arms out in front of you, palms turned out. Put one hand over the top of the other hand, and with the top hand bend that hand back towards your face. You'll feel that stretch down the inside of your forearm through the muscles and the tendon that come under the load of the extension through the hit of the golf swing. Now let's have a look at the arm action, the shoulder extension. Move your left arm across your shoulder, grab the elbow from underneath and just gently pull that arm across the front of your body. This stretches the outside of your shoulder and gets your left arm ready for the backswing position. Turn into your backswing position and hold that for about 10 seconds. Let's do the same on the opposite side. Grab the hand under the elbow, pull the arm across the front of your shoulders and extend through to your follow through position. Your arms are now ready to swing the golf club. Let's have a look at the side of the neck and the top of the shoulders. These muscles across here, called the tricep, will bunch up and brace every time you hit a golf ball. Those muscles can become very tight and stressed if we don't loosen them up. So we're just going to stand here with one arm, extend that down towards the ground, and with the opposite arm grab the top of your head and then pull your head towards the opposite shoulder. Extend that arm down, you'll feel a beautiful stretch from the top of your shoulder all the way up your neck into your ear. Like the other stretches, hold these for about 10 seconds either side. We're now going to get the upper arms and back. The upper arms, the underside of the arm called the tricep, and the side of the back called your lats. We're going to loosen those up. They play a very important role in the leverage of pulling down the golf club from the top of the backswing. Just put your arm over the back of your head and touch the opposite shoulder. With the opposite arm, just grab on the elbow and then just gently pull back on the arm. You'll feel this stretch underneath the back of your arm through the tricep. Hold that for about 10 seconds, and then after 10 seconds, then just lean to the side and you'll feel that stretch extend down through the lat, down through the side of your body. Hold it for 10 seconds either side, repeat that 3 times. That's got you ready for the leverage required in the golf swing. Now we're going to loosen up the buttock muscles, which get very tight through the rotation of the golf swing and also walking on the golf course. You'll need a bench or a chair to sit on. Just sit on that chair with one leg, just cross that leg across the opposite leg, push gently down on the knee, and then with your chest just lean forward. You'll feel this stretch through your butt and through the side of your hip. We want to hold that for about 10 seconds, alternate to the opposite leg and repeat that 3 times. Now we're ready to work on the hamstrings, the back of the upper legs. Most injuries in golf, lower back soreness, come from tight hamstrings or glutes. So it's very, very important before and after every round to loosen up the hamstrings. The walking up and down hills tightens up these legs as well as the rotation in the golf swing. So we're going to stand off to the side of our chair. We're going to raise a leg up and just put the heel on the edge of the chair. With the back of that leg straight, just bend forward slightly, staying in good posture, and push your heel down into the chair. You'll feel a stretch exclusively through the back of your hamstring. It's not important to try and get your head down on your leg. It is important to feel that stretch through the hamstring. Hold that for 10 seconds. Alternate to the opposite leg and repeat that 3 times. For our last 2 stretches we need a wall or something solid to lean against. That's why I've moved over here. The first of those 2 stretches is the hip flexor, or the front of the legs. Just kneel on the ground with your back leg at an angle of about 90 degrees and your knee under your hip. Hand against the wall, and then from there just sink your hip in towards the ground. You'll feel this stretch through the top of your leg, front of your leg and the front of your hip. Hold that for about 10 seconds. As with all the other stretches, alternate and do it for 10 seconds on the other side. And our last of our 10 essential stretches before we go and work on our golf swing is for the side of the hips, on the side of the lower back. Stand to the side of your wall, cross the leg furthest away from the wall in front of the other leg, put the hand on the wall and then just sink that hip into the wall. Extend that leg out until you feel a stretch right through the side of your body, round the side of your hip and down through the side of your leg. Hold that for 10 seconds, alternate legs. Those last 2 stretches are very, very important for the pivot motion that creates the power in the golf swing. We're now ready. We've loosened up, we've warmed up, we're ready to go and work on our golf swing. Your golf swing can only do what your body allows it to do. Get your body ready with these stretches and your golf swing will reap the rewards. Let's go through those 5 steps again. Turn your palms out. This brings your shoulders back and down. Bend forward at the top of the legs, maintaining the shape of your back. Unlock your knees. Left hip towards the target, right shoulder away slightly. Weight balanced evenly between the balls of your feet. Let your arms just swing forward and hang naturally from your shoulders. Place the club in your hands. Move until the club sits squarely behind the ball. I've now got perfect posture, and you too can have perfect posture if you practice this drill every day. Now let's have a look at the grip. I encourage all of my students to have a moulded training grip on one of their practice clubs. I've used one of these since I was a kid and have always gripped the club consistently well. Let me show you a routine for using your practice moulded training grip. Set the club on the ground, pinch the club between the thumb and the index finger of the right hand at the cap. Place your left hand to the side, gripping between the first joint of the index finger to just above the root of the little finger. Wrap your fingers around and then just lift the club up in front of you. Now with your right hand in a very natural and comfortable shaking hands position, move it across. Again, just wrap your fingers around the grip. I've overlapped my little finger over the index finger of the left hand. You can interlock as well. Moving to the side, gripping the club, bring the left hand across, gripping from the first joint of the index finger to just above the root of the little finger. Wrap your hand around, lift the club up, right hand across in a shaking hands position. Wrap the fingers around. Finished result is a very, very simple, comfortable and effective golf grip. Now let's look at stance and ball position. Some methods advocate that you use one ball position for all shots. This in theory sounds simple, but in actual fact it's quite complicated. There are 3 shot categories that require 3 different angle of attacks, and the only way I've found to do that effectively is with 3 different stance and ball position widths. Let's have a look at the stance and ball position for the driver. The bottom of the golf swing is always going to be under the left shoulder joint, so we want to play the ball opposite the left shoulder joint. A stance width, I like the insides of the feet to be approximately the width of the outside of my shoulders. Now the reason I wanted to play the ball opposite my left shoulder joint is because I'm now going to catch that ball right at the bottom of the swing. The club will be travelling parallel to the ground and this will impart the least amount of backspin on the ball. That ball when it hits the ground is going to run and we're going to be able to maximise our distance. With stance, ball position, opposite the left shoulder joint. Now let's have a look at that from behind. You will be the correct distance from the ball when the end of the club is directly over your toe line. You would be too far away from the ball if the end of the club was out in front of your toe line, and you'd be too close to the ball if the end of the club was over your laces. So the correct distance from the ball from behind is end of the club directly over the toe line. For all of your fairway shots, you want to play the ball somewhere between your left heel and the middle of your stance, so it's back behind where I was playing it earlier with my driver. The reason for this is, as I make contact with this ball, the club is still going to be travelling downwards. This is going to impart backspin on the ball, so when the ball lands on the green, it is going to pull up quickly. So as opposed to the driver meeting the ball at the bottom of the stance so the ball runs, I want to meet the ball before the bottom of the stance so it's got backspin and it will stop when it hits the target. You'll notice also I've narrowed up my stance so my laces are now level with the outside of my shoulders. This brings my centre of gravity closer to the back of the ball so I'm easier able to hit down on the shot. So here's my setup position, ball position and stance for a fairway shot. Now let's have a look at that from behind. You'll notice that I'm quite a bit closer to this ball than I was with the driver. The reason for this is because of the length of the club, not the proximity of my body. The end of the club is still over my toe line, so I've got the correct ball position and distance from the ball with a fairway shot. Now for the stance and ball position with the short irons. The ball position with the short irons should be directly opposite the middle of your stance. I've also narrowed up my stance now so the outsides of my feet are approximately level with the outside of my shoulders. This brings my centre of gravity directly up over the top of the ball. By playing the ball back now in the middle of my stance with my centre of gravity up to the ball, that club is going to be met with a very sharp descending blow, imparting maximum backspin on the ball so when it hits the green it will definitely stop. So the ball position and stance for the short irons, ball opposite the middle of the feet, stance approximately the outside of the feet with the outside of the shoulder.